Yo, hope we're well. It's me, Ryan Hartley, always better than yesterday, and really excited to be here for episode 56. Episode 56 of the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. I'm just going to send a few invites now. Thank you for taking the time to catch up on replay. Thank you for taking the time to join us on YouTube or the podcast. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend it with us. Hopefully, this will bring you some insight that will help you be always better than yesterday in your own life. I'm really excited to share my guest with you today. I'll do a bit of an introduction very shortly. Just sending out a couple of invites now. If you are joining, I'd love for you to just push my face and push that share button if you are that way inclined. If you'd love to just share this positive message on a Sunday evening to help someone in your network be always better than yesterday, that's the simple way that you can help and contribute, not just to me, but to those people that are in your network. Maybe you just don't know who needs to hear this right now. So a couple of invites going out. I hope that we've all had a good weekend. Just drop me some blue love heart emojis. Let me jump into the conversation and appreciate you for taking the time. There we go. That's enough invites done. Happy days. Loads of people on already. Amazing. My guest is good to go. Excited. Fantastic. So here we go. Episode 56. I've been joined by 55 awesome and inspiring people so far. It's been a great opportunity to learn about the habits and mindset behind those inspiring people. Today is no different. You'll see my post yesterday. I had a lovely little date day with Brooke. She is, for those of you who don't know me, if you're coming across my page for the first time, thank you. But Brooke is 4 years old and she is lush. She's my little baby girl, and we had a little date day, daddy girl date day yesterday. And it's really important to me that she grows up in a world where she loves who she is. I think the secret to success in our lives is being someone we love, doing things that we love, spending time with people we love. So that's my simple formula for success, and I'm really excited to be bringing a self-love expert on with me this evening in Gina Swire. So without further ado, I won't say too much to share her story, to be done by her. But please do push our faces, give this a share, and let's get as many people involved in this conversation as we possibly can. Hello.
Oh, there we go. Technology.
Amazing. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. I'm buzzing for
Yeah,
this.
me too. You've got a very strong northern accent, but where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Venice Beach, LA right now, but I'm from near Blackpool.
Yes. I'm so jealous right
Very
now. So
glam.
jealous right now.
It's awesome
Amazing. Well,
here.
thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. And I just love you to, just for all the guys and girls that have joined us, just tell us a little bit about who you are and your story so far.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I love doing this kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm Gina. I'm from a little town, little tiny town that no one's ever heard of called Poulton near Blackpool, and I've been on a massive mega journey. What people see now when they follow me is definitely, it wasn't always this way. Sometimes people are like, oh, if I looked like you, if I had the
Mm,
life
mm,
that you had, then I would love myself too, and it definitely wasn't always that way. Actually, I looked very similar than I did 10 years ago, but everything has changed from
mm,
the inside out. And so when I was in my childhood, I kind of like I started to tell myself that I wasn't very good at things. I wasn't very clever, and I wasn't good at reading and writing, and I wasn't good at school, and I just wasn't very good at things. Other people were better than me, so I was just kind of a nobody. And that put me into quite a few years of silence. So I had this big personality inside, but I kind of just didn't
mm.
speak. I would just be, when someone wanted to speak to me, I'd just go really red and be really quiet. So for quite a few years, that was my reality, which I just thought was normal. And then as I went into my teenage years, I found partying and alcohol as this great way to come out of my shell. So yeah, I kind of half came out of my shell in my late teens, mostly party, drink infused, being a northerner and all that. Yeah, so that was a strange reality because people thought I was this super confident social butterfly, but I was kind of still dying on the inside. And I was very, what's the word? Up in my head, I guess is the best way to explain it. So I wouldn't necessarily have fun. I'd look like I was having fun. I'd tell myself I was having fun, but I wasn't. I was like having a nightmare on the inside. I was having like all this pushing and pulling controversy of, do I look good enough? Have I done everything perfect? You can tell now, like, kind of like,
I don't know if you can still hear me, but I've lost your audio. Can you hear me? Technology is a wonderful thing. Just bear with us. We'll sort this out. Just let me know whether those, so you can hear me. Great, fantastic. Okay, so we will just sort this out very shortly. Can always rely on a good. There we go. Let's try this. Let me just see if I can re-invite Gina back. Not at the moment. Well, after 56 episodes, I am used to remaining calm under pressure. This being live on Facebook. So Gina, it's saying that you're on and watching. I don't know whether things have happened your end to freeze, but it's not letting me add you back in. So if you're still there, just drop me a comment. Let me know what's the deal, and we will work this out. We will get this conversation happening. It needs to happen. Many people need to hear what Gina has to say, and I will be very calm and patient about it. So Gina, if you can hear me, it's saying that. There we go. Add. Happy days. Let's get this going again, shall we? Repping my Strongman t-shirt today, episode 54. Shout out to Strongman and Ephraim.
yeah.
What
Hey.
I have learned, and you will know this by being a manifester, is that when we mention technology, it often goes wrong. So let that be a lesson to us.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just not mention that. So where was it? I think I was talking about how I used to spend 3 hours getting ready, and I was aiming for perfection, and I never made it.
Sure.
Like even if 1,000 people told me that, oh my God, you're so perfect, you look so perfect, you're a dream to look at, I'd be like, could have done this better, could have done that better. Yeah, so you can imagine the kind of reality I was in was all up in my head, not having a lot of fun, not thinking I was good enough, and just not being able to connect with people because I was that bothered about having cellulite and being a dress size bigger than my friends and not being perfect. And so then the plot thickens. I then got scouted for modeling. And I was so like, oh my God, no. Like, imagine being in front of all those people and imagine like just the imperfections and just no. And so I kept on getting scouted. And eventually I went into the modeling agency with my mum. And we went into this agency in Manchester that had scouted me a bunch of times. They were like, we love you, we want to see you. I went in and I'd been a little bit sick before it. I'd been in bed for basically 3 weeks. and I'd lost a ton of weight, which was the only reason I dared to go into the agency. And so I went in with my mum. I was feeling really good. And I get there and they're like, yeah, we love you. We want to sign you up. The only thing is you're a bit heavy and we need you to lose about a stone in weight in 2 weeks. So just come back in 2 weeks and we'll sign you up. We've got a job for you. And I was just like, like if
Wow.
I could lose a stone in weight, I would have done. Like I've been trying to do that.
Mm.
That's been my goal, to be skinny. Posh Spice was kind of my role model
Mm.
back then, which, is like probably about the same size as Brooke. So it was this kind of weird thing. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that. And so I just said no. And then the universe kind of wanted me to be a model because then I met this other woman who had a smaller modeling agency, and it was all to do with wedding stuff. So like bride dresses. And for that, they wanted you to be the sample sizes, which were normal women sizes from the shops. And so I started modeling with them, and a few months went by. It went really, really well. I was actually working pretty much full time for them. And then this other big agency came back and said, oh, we do want to sign you up, and maybe we could sign you up as our first ever plus size model. And I was just like, that is so offensive. I don't want to be a plus size model. No, I can't be like a fat model. That was my reaction. Anyway, I did do it and it went really well. So at that point, plus size modeling was becoming a thing. It was a very small crew of us, and it was becoming bigger and bigger. Like all the brands are now focusing on diversity. People watching will probably have seen that. And I was like in that rise. And so my career just went boom. And I got signed in London and New York and all over the world. And I was like, wow, I've made it as a plus size model. Who would have thought it? And so the problem was that in my home life, I still wanted to be skinny and the same size as my friends who were all UK size 8s and 10s. And I was like a 14, 16. And in my modeling, in my work life, I wasn't quite big enough. They were like, can you just be a bit bigger? If you can just put on a bit of weight, we can sign you for this like 50 grand campaign.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to put on weight, but 50 grand sounds nice. So it was a strange reality, and it definitely hit my self-worth head on in the face. Just like, you're not good enough at that, you're not good enough at this, you need to be more, you need to be better, you need to be different. And I was just like, where do I fit? I felt like I didn't quite fit, although I was successful for my body, for my weight. But it was a strange reality, basically. Yeah. And then it all came to a massive head about 5 years ago, when I just was like, this is not my life, and quit everything. Absolutely everything got quit. Everything that could be quit in my life, I quit. So I quit drinking and partying. I quit men. I went celibate. I went vegan. I quit New York, where I used to live. I quit my job. And I just like became like a hermit. Like I just went to my house and healed myself. And that's where the self-love magic came from, that space.
Wow. That's amazing. There's so much I want to ask you. And I guess what you said at the very start was about you changed from the inside out. And I get how much of that with what you were doing shaped your identity. Where did you take your identity from at that point?
Which bit? Before I knew what I was doing, or kind of more when?
Yeah, so you're top of your career, you're nailing it. Like, who were you? Who are you? What did you go through? That sense of, your self-worth was hit, but who were you at that point?
Yeah. I was... that's a great question. Who was I? I don't even know. At that point, I was a party girl. I had this identity of being this, like, kind of show busy, going out to all the fancy places, always looked the part, always had like various men on the bench. Like I was a I looked like I had it all down, and people used to message me all the time being like, your life, oh my God, amazing.
Mm.
And all these other models that I was friends with as well, who were straight size models, they'd be like, you have really got it down because you get to have all of this and you get to eat. Like, wow, how can I get my hands on that? And so to everyone else, they all thought I was doing so well, but I felt guilty that I had so much, and so many people would message me on social media saying, I want your life. Like, how do I get a piece of that? And I felt like void. I felt like empty, like
Yeah.
an empty vessel. So, oof, yeah, ugh,
They say
thinking of
there's
that.
that quote that says that your life can look entirely different based on one decision, and you're testament to that. You made that decision. What helped you with that?
I'm gonna have to go in with the cosmic answer and say spirit.
Hmm.
Like I was being guided by something that I didn't know what it was then. It was very clear, like, this is not how it has to be. Like, there is another way, and just trust. And I was just hearing these messages, and I was like, but that seems so wrong to my human.
Hmm.
You know, my human needs money and needs this and needs fame and all these things in a career. But it was like, no, listen to us
Mm.
because we know, do this. This is what you're doing.
What spiritual reading had you worked on your spiritual development at that point, or was it new to you?
Well, my father died 10 years ago, and so I was there with him when he died. And so that was my spiritual reading in one hit. Just being in a room with someone you love that passes away is a great way to understand spirit, and just the biggest gift ever. Like also really challenging,
Sure.
but such a gift just to see that magic of like, he's there one minute talking to you and the next minute it's an empty vessel.
Mm.
And I felt like that empty vessel, honestly. I was just like seeing that, and also his kind of last words before he died was very much like, don't do what I did.
Wow.
He worked his whole life, had a great life, but he definitely didn't, he was waiting to retire
Mm.
to enjoy his life. And I never do that. I'm just like, do it now, everything now, not tomorrow, not next time, do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my spiritual awakening.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us. And what else has helped you in your own journey? What else has helped you become the person you are today?
The first thing that comes to mind is my circle of influence.
Hmm.
I had the same school friends throughout childhood, through teenage years, and then when I started modeling, I got like a new batch of friends,
Hmm.
partying friends and social friends and model friends. And I actually quit all of them. I quit everything. When I quit, like I just mentioned, I quit everything. And it wasn't that I stopped seeing them or stopped loving them, but I definitely did distance myself emotionally
Yeah.
from them. And I was very, very intentional about the people that I brought into my life at that time.
Hmm.
And I really am now. Like, I'm so, like, you know, I know exactly what I want. I'm open to magic from anyone and everyone. Like, I'm interested to hear everyone's story, but the people around me are all going for it. And that's a big one.
Who are your kind of people?
Ooh, heart people, just people who do everything from the heart, people who want to get to know themselves more and more, people who dive into everything, who are curious and playful and fun, and just like people who have a message to share, which I believe everyone does, but are bold and sharing it. Yeah,
Love that.
they're my people.
I, lo-
They're my peeps.
I love that. Self-love. How did you, where did you, I think for you to be a self-love expert, you've obviously got a fair amount of experience in doing that for yourself. Where did you start?
Mm. Where did I start? Oh, you have such good questions. Where did I start? Well, in that space when I'd quit everything and I was on my lounge floor begging for a sign because I felt so lonely. I'd basically removed every vice that I'd been
Mm.
holding myself back with, that I'd been numbing myself with for the last 10 years. I removed all the
Wow.
things. And when I did that, I had to feel it. And that felt awful,
Mm.
horrible, but amazing as well. Like pain, like pleasure pain is the best way to
Sure.
explain that. Like heartbreak and love all in one
Mm.
go. And in that space, when I was begging for a sign, which I believe is a great place to be for anyone watching. Like if you get on the floor and beg for a sign and you'll get it, it's amazing. And I got those signs, and those signs were one of the main epiphanies that I had was that it's so simple now, but all it was I don't need to fix anything.
Mm.
Don't need to change anything. I don't need to be more. I can't be more anyway.
Mm.
Just this is it. That's it.
Yeah.
Boom. And when I had that feeling of wholeness, of oneness, of self-love, of self-acceptance,
Mm.
all those things rolled into one, I'd started to see some glimmers of it, but then I felt that for the first time. And then, it's not to say once I felt that I've been like just good to go since,
Mm.
definitely not. But I have big periods of time where I don't question any of that stuff anymore. And then something might happen, like the start of this year, my boyfriend cheated on me. And that sent me into like a deep inquiry of like, how was I a match to manifest this? Like, what does, where am I cheating on myself? And in that period, I piled on a load of weight and started to like not look after myself fully, and definitely didn't feel. I felt in full trust. I knew it would
Mm.
pass. I knew, I'm going in the right direction. But it did really send me on this kind of tangent, and I really, really, really had to practice what I preach
Mm.
then
Yeah.
so much, which is spending time with yourself, getting to know yourself, giving yourself whatever you need. So every single morning I wake up and I ask myself, what do I need today?
Mm.
And that honestly is the most loving question ever. I really, really follow this thing of discipline over discipline. I've definitely done the discipline thing where I'm like getting up at 5 a.m., doing my meditation, having my hot water and lemon, getting on my yoga mat, going to the gym, this huge morning routine, then writing down my 10 gratitudes. And that really, really served me at that time. But now, well, firstly, I don't really love anything militant. I don't like being told what to do by anyone, including myself. So discipline for me is so fantastic because
Mm.
it's really do more of what you love. Like, what do you love? What makes you feel good, which is love, and then do more of that.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. Mm.
So let's just picture this, right? You are on the floor begging for a sign, and now here you are with a global mission to help 1 billion women fall madly in love with themselves. Where does that come from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because I made such a huge transformation, huge turnaround, and it was an inner transition,
Mm.
but anything that happens on the inside happens on the outside or it disappears. So if it's a match, so say you have a partner and you're both like having like a really average relationship, and then one person starts going to the gym, gets really healthy, does all the mindset work, up levels the self-love, everything. The other partner either has to do the same or it will end at some point. That's how I see it. There's a period, there's a gray area where the other person gets to catch up, but ultimately if one thing rises, the other has to, or it disappears. And that's really what happened with my inner world. I changed so much. I started to eat like I love myself. I started to work out like I love myself. I started to think like I love myself, because I did. And everything on the outside. Side note, 2 weeks after I had that epiphany of I'm whole, I don't need to change anything, I fell in love for the first time in my life as well. I met this incredible man, and it was love at first sight, and we had an amazing, amazing 3-year relationship, which I believe it was a mirror of the love I had for myself. It was just amazing. And so my body instantly transformed. Like, yeah, I was a model, I looked great, but I had no life in my eyes. I had no soul in my skin. Like, I wasn't beaming. Although people used to say, oh, you glow all the time, but like, it was like light bulbs were coming out of my pores after this transformation, and everyone was just like, how can I get a piece of whatever you're having? And I was like, I'll help you. I'll just help you for free. Let me help you. And I was actually doing this nutrition course at the time, just to get healthier. And that was amazing. That if anyone's watching and, you know, is interested in this stuff, I have an amazing recommendation of a course, and a lot of my friends and clients and all that go on it. And that, oh, such an amazing transformation being in that course. And that I didn't know at the time, but was teaching me to coach people, to help people. And that part of it, I was like, no, I've signed up to the wrong course. This wasn't the right course for me, but the universe had a plan for me. And so I started to help people with their health and with their mind health. And I just realized that I can teach people what to eat and how to exercise all day long, but it's not going to do any good if their mindset isn't in the love frequency. And as soon as it is, they're off. It's like it's a one-way ticket to everything they've ever desired. So yeah, that's how I ended up doing this mission.
I love that. How can people listening that are just getting into the concept of self-love dial in their love frequency a little bit further today?
Okay, there's a few parts to this. Firstly, it's creating space. So I just explained I did it in the most kind of what's the word for that, cold turkey way. I cut everything, but you can do that on a micro basis as well. And one of the ways that people watching can do that is forgiveness. So if you are holding on to things from your past, if there's anything, even little things like, you know, I was supposed to ring my grandparents today and I haven't. I forgive myself. You know, I choose to live and accept myself. Yeah, so there's big things and little things. Maybe you've done something major in your life that you just can't forgive yourself for. Or maybe there's somebody in your life you can't forgive. Well, that's a really, really good place to start, because when you don't have to forgive yourself, but even just writing a list of the things you're yet to forgive yourself for, it already starts a process. Like having an intention to forgive yourself, even if you don't know how, is great. So I would say that's a good one. And I do that every day. Well, most days. You know, I'll write down, I'm yet to forgive myself for not being organized for the masterclass I'm doing on Monday, or like forgetting to respond to a client, or, you know, all these things that we do every day. But, you know, we're just humans trying to have this amazing life, and we don't know what the hell we're doing most of the time. So just forgive yourself for that. So when we create space, and like I said before, I emotionally cut ties from a lot of people, places, things that I used to do, habits. Like, it's a good practice actually just to write on a big piece of paper things that don't serve me. Anything. It could be a thought pattern, it could be a belief, it could be a habit, it could be a food, it could be a person, it could be a place. Just write it all down on a big piece of paper. And actually, you don't have to do anything more than that. It's just awareness. You know, oh, this isn't serving my vision. So that's the first thing, create some space. And that gives room for the love to pour in and the magic to pour in.
Yeah.
And then once you've got that vision, like I'm mad on vision, because without a vision, I think vision is the most important thing that we have. And, you know, like my vision is to help 1 billion women to transform, a billion plus women to transform. And I have a vision for that. Like I have it all carefully planned out, the things that I'd love to create. My book is about to come out, my course and retreats and all this stuff. It didn't just happen magically. It's been created and it's been coming for a while, you know. So,
You know, we talked very briefly offline around leadership, and I think, you know, sometimes actually leadership is about, we create the world the leader has visioned. You first have to see it in your mind's eye before we create it. Everything that we see in our world has been once a vision by someone, a leader. And do you consider yourself a leader?
yeah. 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 And something that just sprung to mind then was that people who make $1 million or £1 million, they don't just make it with no reason. You know, they're not just like, oh, I feel like making $1 million today.
Yeah.
They're like, I need this money for this, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
They have a plan for it. Same with anything.
Yeah.
You know, my retreats didn't just magic themselves. I had, and I worked back from the outcome. So like, I think about how I want the women to feel when they leave.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, how can I get them from where they are now to that?
Yeah.
So it's a vision. Like, what steps do I need to take? And then I put all that into the retreats.
Yeah, nice.
So
you talked about book coming soon, courses. What's it like going on? What are your retreats called, and what's the experience like for people?
they're called the Infinite Self-Love Retreats. Infinite, because we can always have more.
Yeah.
It can come from anywhere. And the retreats are probably the biggest gift I can give to anyone, and anyone can give to themselves. I do them in different formats. So we do Bali and Ibiza, which are a week, because obviously we have to travel to them. And then I do England, and I'm about to add Portugal and Mexico next year as well. So people come in, all walks of life, all ages, all different levels of personal development. There's a lot of people that have never done anything before and just think it sounds cool. And then the whole retreat is based around giving everyone an experience of self-love, of like how good it can feel. So obviously they get to see me, how I live. They get to see my assistant and other team members, how they live, and they're all like vibrating so high. And they're just like, wow, I didn't realize this was possible. Wow. If this is possible for you, then it's possible for me. Like, how do I get there? And so people go through like amazing inquiry, and it's all very spacious. There's lots of time to journal, and I teach a lot of techniques, take everyone through a 12-step self-love transformation with a lot of different concepts. It's very step by step. And also, I'm trying to think actually what the retreat ladies would say. I think it's fun and it's surprising. Like, there's lots of little cute surprising things. It's quite confrontational. It's not just like, you know, hanging out, having fun and being pampered. It's quite full on. But absolutely anyone can do it who is ready to transform.
Love that. How can people connect with you and follow more of your content and see more of your stuff? Obviously, I've shared your website in this in the description of this live, but how can people connect on a deeper level with you?
Absolutely everywhere. My name is Gina Swire, and it's Gina Swire on Instagram, Facebook, website ginaswire.com. I think they're the main things. Yeah, so I'd love to hear from anyone who's either struggling or knows someone who's struggling. I love to connect with people on social media, so send me any questions. If anyone sends me any questions or like I get that, but I don't get this, or like, yeah, but how do you actually do that?
Mm,
Then I often do a Facebook Live on that question. So if anyone's got any questions, send them over and you'll get a live.
amazing. Love that.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for your time. I know you're very busy, very, very busy. Thank you for taking the time to join me. I've got one last question, and it all stems around the ethos of being always better than yesterday. I'm just curious to know what the phrase always better than yesterday means to you.
Mm, always better than yesterday. I think this infinite, expansive love. So the more we get to know ourselves and the more we accept ourselves, the bigger and more expansive we become. So that to me is what it means. Like yesterday I was at this stage, today I'm just in deep playful curiosity of everything that is.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Everyone that has joined and watched the video all the way through, let me just say thank you for taking the time to spend it with us. Please just push our faces. Make sure that you give this video a like, a share. Please go and follow Gina if you're not already. If you're new to my stream, having come from Gina's network, then let me just say thank you for taking the time out and spending it with us. Hope it has been useful. Hopefully I've asked a few more questions to help you understand Gina and her awesomeness a little bit more. And very lastly, would you
Yeah.
please do me the honour of leaving us with a final thought from your good self?
Final thought. Well, the first thing that came to mind, and I always trust this, is whatever you're going through, it will pass. Everything is impermanent. Absolutely everything. Even if it's a good thing, even if it's a negative thing, you know, it's going to pass, and you can create whatever you wish just by choosing it. And I just wanted to say I was so inspired by your Instagram story yesterday with your little girl. I was just like, oh my God, this is the cutest thing ever. And your little girl just looks like a gem. I was like, I need to interview your little girl.
Yeah.
If when she's open to interviews, let me know.
Absolutely amazing. Well, thank you so much for the inspiration, and I hope that we've gone some way to sharing your message with at least one more person today.
Yeah, this was fab. Great questions as well. Thank you.
Anytime. Have a great week, everybody. Much love.
Bye. Thank you.